What's up everyone, I'm Brendan with Cooks Exotics. First thing you guys should do before this video continues, hit the subscribe button down below if you guys like reptile, plant, and aquarium content. I got a whole lot of it coming out. I know the channel's new, but we got a lot more coming for you guys. But anyways, this video is going to be pretty much the making of my my white tree frogs enclosures. I ordered some. I'm going to have them come in probably a day or two, so I'm going to be building the enclosure now. It's going to be bioactive. It's going to be small. It's just a grow-out enclosure, but it's going to be all planted and stuff like that. So if that's something you guys would want to see, this is the video to watch. Okay, so as you guys can see, this is a 12 by 12 by 18 Exoterra. It has one of the dual domes on the top that has a UV bulb for them and then a 25 watt. I know the experience in this room because it is rather a warm room. My Amazon milk frogs never really seem to require a bulb, but since these guys are small and a different species, I am going to provide them a bulb and then see what happens. I know with the milk frogs, they would go to the opposite side of the enclosure. This being a slightly bigger enclosure, they may slightly want it, so I might as well just offer it for them. But as you guys can see, I already have organic potting soil mixed in at the bottom. It's also mixed with a little bit of sphagnum moss. So this system was used for just a grow out crested gecko. I pretty much took out all the Pathos and put it into the enclosure that he now has, which is pretty much just in a 66 quart Sterilite container with holes drilled, obviously. So that's where Homeboy's at. But since this soil is already in there, I didn't want to go about the process of taking it out. And it's bioactive. It already has the springtails. It has zebra isopods, and it's got super worms, and it's got mealworms in it as well. So it's pretty bioactive in there. I just want to take out the plants. I'm going to show you guys the process of going about planting this little thing. So you can see it's lit for the time being just with the Finex 24/7. It's not going to be the light for it all the time. I'm going to be having some beams work, LEDs coming from eBay pretty shortly. I just got to order them up. So those will be used for these systems, and it'll be used for Ramirez puffers down there. But for right now, I'm just using that little Finex to flop between back and forth. So right now, it's just for viewing purposes for you, but it would be a decent light for the system as a whole. Okay, so for most species, you can leave it just the organic potting soil at the bottom, but since these guys like a little bit more humidity and moisture, I am going to be adding some sphagnum moss to the top of this substrate. As you guys can see, this is just dry sphagnum moss. You guys can do dry sphagnum moss, any of the live mosses, anything like that. I would like to eventually switch to a live moss just whenever kind of an expo comes around. Then I'll probably stock up on that because I'd like to do that for a couple of the enclosures, those little milk frogs included. So this will just be nice. It'll provide a nice soft bottom for them and add a little bit more humidity. So I'm just going to spread that all along the bottom, like so. The next thing I'm going to end up doing is going to be the hardscaping of this tank. So it's going to be the driftwood and the rocks that I'm going to be putting into this enclosure. For this enclosure, I pretty much chose to use Mopani driftwood just because it was some that I've been having laying around, and I don't personally prefer the way it looks in aquariums. I prefer Malaysian driftwood. So what I'm doing with these pieces now is just basically simulating pretty much like a tree, you know, since these are white tree frogs. It wouldn't be a bad idea to try to mimic just a tree structure, you know. So we'll do those, that way they can get it all up in there. And then we'll do a piece of slate. And we'll do one of their hides right there. So alright, next should be the plants. That looks decent, so I'll show you guys. That piece of Mopani is like perfect height. It looks awesome with all the nodules in it too. Looks super cool. But alright, I'm also going to get, I guess that'll be the next thing I'm going to do. So the back of that enclosure got broken once trying to fit a cord for filter in here. It was my grow out for a pied veiled chameleon, my boy, for a little bit. So that got broken. So I'm probably gonna stuff that with moss. That way, any of the frogs can't get back there, and then out of sight, out of food and stuff like that. So I know that'll be a concern to some people. So that'll be the next step. So that little piece is all mossed in. I figured I didn't need to show you guys the process of doing that, but the next step's the plants. So I'll show you guys what plant species I'm using and then where I'm going to end up putting them and why. Okay, so in this enclosure I'm mainly going to be using a couple different varieties of Pathos, just because Pathos is one of the easiest plants to use and it grows super fast and it's just super easy. So the first piece I'm going to end up putting in is a Jada Pearls Pathos. It's called Jada Pearls because of the white everywhere. It's a really nice plant. It's a nice variegate version of it. But this one I'm going to tuck behind this little piece because you can see its bare stem mainly at the bottom. So it's not like it needs light down there. So we'll put that in the back like so. We'll tuck that. There we go. We'll tuck that in the back. I could go in this way a little bit more. And Pathos is a really nice plant to use just because, again, it's super easy, and with the root system, doesn't really need a drain layer or anything like that. It likes it to get really soggy and can be even fully in water, which a lot of people end up doing. They use it coming out of the tops of aquariums, coming out to hang on the back filters, all that stuff. So super easy plant. Comes in nice couple different varieties, which we're going to see featured in this enclosure. So that's the Jada Pearls in there. Kind of looks decent, you know. They got the hide on the side, and then it'll end up creeping up the side a little bit more. So on to the next one. Next plant I'm going to be using is a small piece of Neon Pathos. It's called Neon Pathos just because of the bright almost lemon lime leaves. So I'm just going to throw this one. We'll throw this one right up front just because it's a little bit nicer of a plant. We'll be able to see it and kind of care for it a little bit more. Make sure if it needs more water, we can see it quicker. You know, that kind of stuff. So we'll throw that. We'll have that try to vine up that way. Sweet. That's 2 in. Another plant I'm going to be using this enclosure is Arrowhead. This is the Maria morph. It's got a nice red color. As you guys can see, a nice bronze to it. So I like these a lot with frogs just because it gives them so much plant space to actually grip onto with the big leaves that this plant has. And another thing that's really nice with it is the fact that it doesn't... where should we put it? Yeah, let's put it right up front. Another thing with it too is it likes a lot of water, so people use them again in aquariums, like sticking out the back or in a hang on the back filter or something like that. So if you end up doing a drain layer, that just opens up your options to doing ivies, begonias, stuff like that that can otherwise be known to rot in stagnant soils. But having stagnant soils allows you to have a little bit more humidity, I find. So that's why we're going to be doing it for these guys. So that looks decent so far. So you guys can really see the different coloration, especially on this Maria Arrowhead. That's really nice. And the Jada Pearls. You can see the white, the neon. So I'm gonna get a little bit more Pathos along the back. That way it'll creep up along that slate. And so let me go and get that. It's just gonna be probably a normal morph, but we'll see. Okay, so I got the couple pieces of Pathos, and I'm just going to be throwing them in the back, like I said. That way it'll end up creeping up behind, above this piece of slate. So we're going to just move this slate for right now. That way we can get these guys back there. And again, this substrate is just organic potting soil mixed with some sphagnum and sheet moss. No special moss either. You can get this stuff just at Home Depot or anything. You can get the stuff at Petco, but I find that it's pretty much the same stuff and it's a little bit more money. So I'd say just go with the Home Depot and Lowe's stuff. It's pretty much the same price. Well, no, it's cheaper. It's more of a bulk thing. So this is just golden Pathos. So that'll be nice. So then we'll put the slate back. I'm trying to decide if I wanted to add any more stems of it, but I'm not thinking. It grows fast enough that it's really not that big of a deal. We'll just throw the two back there for now and watch them take off. So. Okay, so I moved the neon Pathos towards the center. That way it'll creep up along in the middle along with that golden Pathos. It'll just look a little bit nicer, I think. And so I'm going to end up putting another Arrowhead within the enclosure. This one's called Berry Illusion. It's pretty much like a white one with red in the centers. I'll show some close-ups of this enclosure when it's done, which it's about to be. So we're just going to dig down in the corner. And we're going to throw this guy in. Nice. So it's looking pretty filled in already. As you can see, we got the two arrowheads, we got the Berry Illusion, and we got the Mary. So we got the two different colors right up front, the white with the red veins, and we got almost the bronze with the red veins. So that's really nice. And then above you can see the three different types of Pathos. You can see the jade and pearls right there with the white striations. You can see the golden in the back. And you can see the little neon piece that we have right there. So, pretty nice little enclosure. It'll be good for the frogs. I'm going to end up adding a rectifogger on just to boost the humidity. Right now they're right next to the Amazon milk frog, so as you guys can see I have a rectifogger on them, so I may end up just bouncing it back and forth as whoever needs it, they'll get it. So that's pretty much the enclosure, guys. So it's pretty bioactive already, so I'm going to end up doing a video just on bioactive and why it's good and stuff, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I almost forgot too, I'm going to be adding a water bowl obviously. Eventually, when they get their more permanent setup, as they get to adult size, I am going to do bioactive, and I'm going to have actual ponds basically with some fish and a lot of papyrus and iris coming out and stuff like that. But that'll be in their more permanent enclosure. But for now, since they're small, they're pretty much going to be in the water all the time. They're just going to be pooping in it and stuff like that. So for ease of maintenance, it's nice to change it. But that's the enclosure right there for you guys, for these little guys. So stay tuned for when I am going to be getting them. I'm going to be getting them probably in the next day or so. Depends if they ship them on Monday or Tuesday. But so it's, and today being Sunday, we don't know when they're going to ship them. But I'm expecting them on Tuesday. So stay tuned for that video as well. So I'm going to be putting all 7 of them together based off of them coming from the same breeder. It seems like he breeds them based off the YouTube videos, and he refers to them as like when the next clutches are going to be happening based off of availability. So it seems like he breeds them, so them coming from the same facility. And I've also never heard of them predating on each other, and the size on them really isn't that much of a difference, so they should be good all in here together. They're just two different types of morphs. Remember, they're not two different types of frogs. They're two different morphs of the same species of frog. So yeah, that's the general gist as how I go about hooking up the white tree frogs enclosure. It's very similar to like the Amazon milk frogs. It's similar to red-eye tree frogs. It's, you know, a lot of warm frogs are kind of the same, except when it comes to humidity levels. So that's where you got to kind of look into specifically humidity levels for the specific species, and then you can then justify if you guys need to get a mister or fogger or something like that. I have some on deck, so you know it's not something I'm going to be throwing on there right now. But if I do see some stuck shed or non-glossy skin or something like that, then I will be addressing the problem. Like I said too, this enclosure is going to be good for 7 juveniles. They should only be like dime maybe penny sized, so it's going to be good for them for a little bit of time. And then not only that, the frogs would kind of get lost in a much bigger enclosure. Like eventually they're going to end up being in probably a, you know, large Exoterra. It's all going to be bioactive. It's going to have an actual like river system pretty much in there. It's going to have an active waterfall system. It's going to have probably fish in there. It's going to be all bioactive. A lot of moss, a lot of papyrus, a lot of stuff like that. So it's going to be really cool. If that's a build you guys would like to see, definitely subscribe to this channel, as well as the frogs coming. The frog unboxing is going to be coming up shortly after this video, so if that's something you guys would like to see, and then my reviews with the company, and then the frogs themselves, be a good idea to turn on your post notification bells too. That way you guys can actually get the notification that I got the video uploaded and that you guys can watch it. So that'd be cool. I greatly appreciate it. Every view matters. Thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.